The Eagles enter their Week 12 matchup with the Bills as 3-point favorites at home. With a record of 6-5, the Bills have been maligned by the social media warriors this season. But when you look at this team, on paper and on film, a lot of that is unwarranted. The Bills' offense is 6th in points per game and yards per game, while ranking 3rd in yards per play and red zone efficiency. They are 7th worst in turnovers per game with 19 total, but their turnover differential is 0, as their defense is 3rd in takeaways per game with 19 total. Their defense is also 5th in points per game and 10th in yards per game allowed. All of their losses have been one-score games. There's an alternate universe where this Bills team has the best record in the NFL. The main thing separating their wins and losses, in my eyes, is the turnovers, as they have come in bunches. Even in their losses, they average 345 yards a game, but they have 14 turnovers with 5 takeaways in those games. In their wins, they have 5 turnovers with 14 takeaways. Much of the blame has fallen on Josh Allen this season, and there is talk that he has regressed, but let me say one thing. Get that out of your head, because he is playing some really good football. Let's take a look at this play against the Broncos. The Broncos are trying to disguise their coverage pre-snap, but with the depth of the safety and him being stacked over the linebacker, and with the addition that there's an open gap in the box, Josh has a feeling that the defense is going to rotate. Just before the snap, they shift into their alignments for cover 3. Once he gets the ball, Josh immediately looks to his left to move the middle safety to open up space, while the routes on the other side develop. On the other side of the field, we have Stefon Diggs running a skinny post, with Dalton Kincaid running a wheel route behind him. When looking at previous games, when running cover 3 in the red zone area, the Broncos had a tendency to play cover 3 with spot drop principles, as opposed to the match coverage principles that the Eagles typically use. This means that the defenders are dropping to specific spots on the field, as opposed to matching receivers based on the routes they run. What this means for the corner playing the outside third is that he has to split the difference between the 2 deep routes, because unlike cover 3 match, where the flat defender would run with the wheel route, that defender is dropping into the curl flat zone. The corner playing the middle of those 2 deep routes is often referred to as playing the apex. This way he can help the safety protect the seam, while also being able to play the outside receiver. Josh understands this, and when he gets his eyes back to the other side of the field, he gives Patrick Surtain a little pump fake with his shoulders and by separating his hands from the ball. Stefon Diggs' gravity and Josh Allen's fake get Surtain to bite on the dig, allowing Kincaid to run wide open down the sideline on the wheel route. This is a high-level play from Josh Allen. It's not a one-off play either. Time and again, you will see Josh Allen manipulating defenders with his eyes before getting back to the 3rd or 4th progression within the route concepts. He'll throw with anticipation, throwing behind the ear hole of a defender knowing that a window is coming open. He's doing a lot of the things that the high-end veteran quarterbacks are known for. Even on this interception, you can see how he moves the underneath defender with his eyes before getting backside to Gabe Davis, but unfortunately for Allen, the ball bounces off Gabe's hands and into awaiting defenders. We can't talk about Allen without talking about his interceptions, but honestly, outside of Week 1 versus the Jets, he's not making boneheaded decisions and throwing into double or triple coverage. He's had his share of tip pass interceptions, end of half Hail Mary interceptions, and a couple of arm punts on 3rd and 15 and 3rd and 20 when he's giving his receiver a shot one-on-one. There have been some throws he would want back, like a couple of interceptions where he's thrown the ball too firm, where he could have put some touch and layered it over the defender. We've also seen a couple of passes where ball placement were the culprits. But these interceptions aren't dumb decisions, just bad execution. I can't look at the totality of Josh Allen's interceptions compared to Jalen's this year and ignore some of the ones Jalen has had. Josh has been graded with his lowest turnover-worthy play percentage of his career by PFF as well. The Eagles' defense has struggled containing more mobile passers this season, and that is something that is going to be a huge factor in Sunday's game. According to Sports Info Solutions, the Bills have allowed the 2nd lowest pressure rate, and Josh Allen has the 2nd lowest sack rate in the NFL with 14 on the year. More impressive considering Allen is sitting with 11th highest time to throw. This offseason, Buffalo was vocal about feeling that they needed to get more stout on the interior of their line, so they signed former Dallas Cowboy Connor McGovern in the offseason and drafted the 345-pound Osiris Torrance in the 2nd round. By shoring up the interior of their line, they've allowed Josh Allen more space to step up and operate within the pocket. Both players are solid and will win their fair share of reps, but after playing the Cowboys and Chiefs in back-to-back games, this should feel like an easier matchup for their defensive tackles. Torrance played against Jalen Carter last year and played better than just about any other guard that faced Carter, but Carter was still the better player. He's very strong, but if the Eagles can get Torrance in space, Carter's elite movement skills should be able to take over. Deion Dawkins is probably their best offensive lineman at left tackle, and he's been an above-average player, but not somebody who's going to shut down his opponents all game. And Josh Sweat should be able to get some pressure. He's a very long player and is crafty with his moves. His style reminds me a lot of Andrew Thomas, where he likes to use looping clamps. This allows him to protect his outside hand from getting chopped and clubbed, but it does expose his chest and his anchor isn't as good as Andrew Thomas. Like in previous battles with Thomas, I imagine Sweat will rely on more bull rushes along with some dip and rip moves to negate those high strikes. He should be able to help set up his moves with his Euro step, as Dawkins doesn't have the best lateral agility. On the other side, Spencer Brown is very tall at 6'8" with good length. He does a good job playing long and using independent strikes, but with many guys that tall, it's harder for them to bend and move side to side with guys like Hassan Reddick. This should be a game where Reddick makes some impact plays. But what is so hard about playing Josh Allen is that he has an elite ability to extend plays. His athleticism makes it hard enough to keep him from escaping outside, but he's doing an excellent job of navigating the pocket. This play right here is a good example of Josh stepping up into the pocket. His footwork is quick and clean, not lunging, but keeping a good base under himself the whole time. This allows him to keep his upper body calm so he can be consistent in his delivery. He moves through his progression from one side of the field to the other, and it results in a big play. Allen does a great job finding the quiet part of the pocket. He doesn't blindly scramble whenever he senses pressure. He moves just enough to find a spot in the pocket that will give him an extra second to throw. The Bills' offensive line doesn't have any guys that are at the top of their position group, although they're not a bad group overall by any means. But Josh Allen's ability to navigate the pocket helps to elevate his offensive line. It's well documented the plays Allen can make out of the pocket, and keeping Allen contained is going to be a priority this week. It's easier said than done, but the Eagles need to play with good rush lane integrity, which has been an issue at times this year. I imagine we'll see plays like last week, where the Eagles rush 3 and use a defensive lineman to spy, but Allen is used to teams spying him, and his ability to navigate within the pocket allows him to succeed even against those looks. On this play, the Eagles were also doubling Travis Kelce, and we'll see plays where the Eagles do that with Stephon Diggs as well. It will be needed as Diggs is one of the premier receivers in the NFL, and he's the focal point of their passing attack. He's tied for second in the NFL in targets and fifth in receptions. His 108 targets is 50 more than the next closest person on the team. Sean Desai has typically saved his double teams until later in the game, but I hope he runs one early so that Josh has to constantly think about the possibility of Diggs getting double teamed throughout the game. They will also need to double team him in multiple ways. Allen and Diggs' connection is too good to rely on just one method of double teams. Using different variations of in and out brackets as well as over-under brackets will be necessary. The Bills will move Diggs all over the field, and Slay should be moving to Diggs' side of the field throughout the game. He likely won't follow him into the slot until key moments in the game, but this will allow the Eagles to have Slay on Diggs when aligned outside instead of Bradbury. Slay is a better match for Diggs' speed, quickness, and change of direction ability. The Bills will align Diggs as the number 3 receiver in empty and trips formations fairly often. That's been an issue at times for the Eagles, but against the Cowboys and Chiefs, they began running different coverages to help give extra attention to players aligned in that spot. That will be important outside of just covering Diggs because Dalton Kincaid has really stepped up for this Bills offense at tight end, and he consistently plays in the slot as well. The Bills drafted Kincaid in the first round, and he's proven to be a good addition. He's a good route runner and has a knack for finding spots in zone underneath. He is a little Travis Kelce-ish in his ability to make plays after the catch. Kincaid consistently catches underneath passes while loading up on a leg to explode after the catch. He turns short 5-yard catches into first downs, and he's going to be a reliable chain mover for the Bills for a long time to come. In zone coverage, I imagine the Bills will try to get Kincaid matched up on Nicholas Morrow. Kevin Byard will likely play a big role in man coverage against Kincaid, much like he did last week against Travis Kelce. The other receivers and tight ends on the Bills are okay options, but Diggs and Kincaid are the drivers of the passing game. Out of the backfield, James Cook is a weapon. He's an explosive player, and he will make guys miss in open space, but he doesn't get all that many opportunities. He's 23rd in targets among running backs this season, and he's 4th in targets on the Bills. Still, he will likely make a play or two in the passing game, and is a threat to make a play if the Eagles don't tackle him in open space. On the ground, the Bills rank well. Allen is a threat in his own right, and he will get design runs called for him. Their running backs are also 5th in yards per attempt. Their offensive line has allowed the lowest stuff rate and the lowest rate of runs where the running back is hit at the line of scrimmage. They are 8th in yards before contact as well. This line has some maulers up front, and they came into the season with the 5th heaviest offensive line. The Eagles are 2nd for comparison. They love to call gap scheme runs to O'Cyrus Torrance's side, trying to use his size and strength to wash defensive tackles down, while pulling Deion Dawkins, who is very physical at the point of attack. On rundowns, I would put Jordan Davis on Torrance's side to clog up gaps. The Bills use other wide zone and mid zone runs, and James Cook does a good job finding cutback lanes. It will be important keeping him contained. The Eagles Eagles had a few lapses and allowed the Chiefs to break some runs outside last week, but those are more self-inflicted mistakes than anything. The Eagles' run defense is still an elite unit, and I think they will contain the Bills' running backs. I believe this game will come down to limiting the Bills' passing attack, which involves keeping Allen in the pocket, providing help on Stefon Diggs at points throughout the game, and causing enough confusion for Josh Allen to hopefully throw you an interception. As cliche as it is to say, I think the winner of the turnover battle wins the game. The Bills' offense moves the ball even in losses, so I wouldn't expect the Eagles to shut them down. The Bills are going to get their yards, but holding them to field goals instead of touchdowns and getting the ball back without giving them extra opportunities will be the key to an Eagles victory.